Um, each school is different. I know for us, 30% of our students are selected at random. Every other school, I don't know the percentage exactly, but there's a certain percentage of students that are selected randomly for verification. Essentially what that means is that the federal government saw something on the FASFA that they weren't too sure of, so they flagged it. So that means that the student and parents, or parent has to provide additional information, okay? Usually that school will let you know by email, or if you call the office, they'll let you know what you need. So it could be, for example, a dependent verification form. Because a lot of times, I've seen it where students they'll put their parents' income under theirs, or vice versa. And it's like, so I've seen it where students will put, okay, you're in high school, right? You're a 17-year-old high school student, but you're making $50,000 a year. Mm-hmm. That raises a red flag. Like, okay, well, what are you doing in high school where you're generating, and you filed your taxes for $50,000 a year? So again, it just simple mishaps where either they're rushing or they're not sure what to put where. So they may, they'll just have to go in, change it from them to their parents. That delays the process. So again, if everything is complete, if you're not selected for verification, it can take up to 2 weeks. It can take longer if you are selected, okay? And that requires you getting, that documentation back to the particular school, all right? And this is one of those areas that I see, people really need to follow up. People really need to follow up with this verification process. There's a lot of students that think that, oh, I just fill out the FAFSA the first time and I'm all set. I did it my senior year and I'm all set. You have to make sure that there's nothing else that you need, okay? Any questions on this?
Once you submit it, can you go back and change it? And once it's submitted, it's just submitted?
No, that's the good thing. You can actually go back and make corrections. Now, let's say if you submit it today, the first business day is Monday,
right.
You can't go back and make changes Wednesday,
Okay.
right? Because it's in process.
Okay.
They're processing the information that you already put, but once you receive, or the school receives it, if you're like, oh man, you know what, I forgot to put this information. Oh, you know what, I think my social was wrong. Whatever the case is, you can go in, oh, I forgot to add the school. You can go in and make those corrections. Yeah.
So when you go online now, say you wanted to make those corrections, you get an alert, like something to pop up and say, hey, you can't make any edits now.
Yeah, so when you log into the FAFSA, it'll say in process. When you can make corrections, there's a link at the bottom, a button that says, or a tab that says make FAFSA corrections. If it doesn't appear, you're not able to make it at the time because it's in process. All right. And then once everything is completed, that's when students are packaged. Again, verification, it's an audit process, as we talked about. There's verification worksheets, the data retrieval tool. It eliminates a lot of that, which you have your tax information transferred from the IRS to the FAFSA, okay? You might need other families' financial information. A lot of cases I've seen where parents are taking care of grandma or Aunt Susie or Uncle this, or they may be taking care of one of the friends, one of your sons or daughter. You might be taking care of somebody else's child, right? And essentially, a lot of schools will just need either a statement or they have their own paperwork that says that you provide for more than 50% of whatever their expenses are. Okay, so again, that's another case-by-case basis.
What's a verification worksheet?
So either dependent verification worksheet, this is part of, if a student has been selected for verification, this is the additional documentation that's needed where the IRS flagged, they saw something in the FAFSA and they're like, oh, wait a minute, we need more information on this.
Okay.
So there's dependent, which the students are dependent on their families. There's independent students who are over the age of 24, or if they're on their own, let's say at 20, 21, they're paying their own rent, they're paying their own lights and all of that, they have children, they're independent, Okay, so there's different worksheets, asset forms. Again, it really just depends on what the government needs to distribute and award the student. So those are all part of the, the different worksheets. Okay. Option to appeal, if there's a case where, parents are like, you know what, yes, this is what I made in 2015. This is what my tax return or W-2 say, but that's not the case now. I'm not making that money now. You will have to appeal. Okay, and there's different, again, case-by-case basis. I see it all the time, but again, once the school lets you know if you've been selected for verification and other things that you've done that you need to get in, the school will let you know that. Okay, so that's why it's important to stay on top of the communication with the school. Okay. If you don't complete the verification process, you can lose your financial aid. Your financial aid won't be complete if there's certain documents that are not in. It just prevents you having your classes or tuition paid for if you're in a class, and if you're in classes, that aren't paid for. There's reports that are ran. We have students that are registered, haven't paid, they need to be dropped. It creates this whole mess. So again, it's important to stay on top of that. And if you're receiving a loan, it can be denied. This is essentially how they look at it. The cost of attendance, again, variable for each school, okay? Minus whatever your expected family contribution is. That's all determined, again, by your income. There's a calculation that the government has when they're creating your student aid report, okay? And that's what the need is, okay? Again, this is as best as the information that you input in the FASFA based on, again, there's more variables, but again, income, attendance, how many people are in the household, how many are in college. There's this formula that they have, which calculates your need, okay? Any financial aid office, again, this is across the board. This is what